Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today we're tackling something really interesting, a strategy for using AI not just as a teaching tool, but as a way to completely transform some of the most challenging classrooms out there.
So, let's just kick things off with a huge question I hear from educators all the time. Is AI this fancy new toy that you can only really use with your best, most well-behaved students? What if the opposite is true? What if AI is actually the key to creating that calm, focused learning environment in the first place?
Well, the material we're digging into today basically flips that whole idea on its head. It makes the case that AI's true power isn't for the students who are already cruising along. No, its real strength is in tackling the root causes of why classrooms get disruptive in the first place. You know, the frustration, the boredom, that feeling of being totally lost. So AI isn't the prize for good behavior, it's the tool you use to build it.
Okay, so how on earth does this actually work? Well, the whole approach is broken down into a really clear two-phase strategy. Phase one is all about the teacher using AI behind the scenes, kind of like a stage manager, to bring some calm and stability to the room. And only after that foundation is set do you move to phase two, where the students get their hands on AI directly to get them genuinely, deeply hooked on learning.
All right, let's dive into phase one. The key thing to get here is that the teacher is the one using the AI tools, not the students. Not yet, anyway. It's all about getting that solid foundation right before you even think about building the rest of the house.
So let's start with what's probably the number one source of chaos, just plain old frustration, right? A student hits a wall, they don't grasp a core concept, and that little moment of confusion just spirals. They either check out completely and put their head down, or they start acting out. And let's be real, a teacher can't be everywhere at once to catch every single one of those moments.
And this is where the first practice comes into play, the diagnostic tool. Just think of quick low-stakes quizzes or practice platforms, all powered by AI, that can instantly figure out exactly where students are getting tripped up, but without all the pressure of a big formal test.
And here's the absolute game changer. The teacher isn't spending hours grading. They get instant, unbiased data. The AI can flag that, boom, 70% of the class completely misunderstood a specific formula. So now the teacher knows exactly what to focus on tomorrow, stopping that frustration before it has a chance to explode into disruption.
Okay, next up, we've got to tackle the two emotional extremes that are just major drivers of disruption. You've got the student on one side who is completely overwhelmed because the work is way too hard, and on the other, you've got the student who is bored out of their mind because they mastered this stuff ages ago. Both of them are off task.
The solution here is something called the Content Customizer. This is where a teacher uses generative AI, the kind of AI that can create new text and images to rapidly differentiate their lessons. They can take one core idea and in just a few seconds, spin up multiple versions to meet every single student right where they are. And the results are just incredible. You can literally ask an AI to simplify a super dense history text for a struggling reader. Or you could ask it to create math word problems that are all about video games to hook a student who's usually tuned out. Or, for your high flyers, have it generate a complex ethical dilemma to debate. All of a sudden, every student has work that feels like it was made just for them.
And finally, for phase one, we have to tackle a really human challenge. When a teacher is just overwhelmed, constantly putting out fires, it is so hard to stay calm and consistent with discipline. And that inconsistency, it actually encourages students to push the boundaries even more.
The AI practice for this is called the Consistent Enforcer. Now, I know, that sounds a little intense, right? But it's not really about discipline. The idea is to let an AI tutor handle all the immediate, factual corrections on assignments. It gives that instant, consistent feedback on the work itself, and it's totally impersonal. Just think about that for a second. The feedback is coming from the machine, not from the teacher. It's seen as help, not as criticism. And this frees the teacher up from having to be the constant bad guy, the corrector, and lets them save their energy for the important stuff, like mentoring and building positive relationships. All right, so we've built this foundation of peace, this stable launchpad. Now we can move into phase two. This is where we introduce AI tools directly to the students. And the goal here is really simple. Make the schoolwork more interesting and more compelling than any possible distraction.
First up, we've got the AI Debate Partner. Instead of just passively writing an essay, students are challenged to actively defend their ideas against a chatbot. That simple switch just reframes the entire task. It goes from being a chore to being a competitive game. Can I outsmart this machine?
And the impact here is just huge. The goal is no longer just being right.
It's about successfully defending your position against actual counter-arguments. The AI pushes back, it pokes holes in their logic, and it forces students to go back and really sharpen their critical thinking skills.
The next tool, the Visual Creator, taps into a very simple truth. Students care about making things that look cool. Using a text-to-image AI to illustrate something complex, like the water cycle, is super fast, and it produces something they can actually be proud to show off.
But here's the secret sauce. The real learning doesn't happen when they generate that first image. It's in the critique. It's when the student has to look at what the AI made and say, wait a minute, that's not scientifically accurate. Then they have to go back and refine their prompt to fix it. That whole cycle fosters true ownership and a much, much deeper understanding.
Okay, this next one addresses a massive barrier to learning, one we've all felt: the fear of looking stupid. So many students would rather just sit there in silence, completely lost, than raise their hand and admit in front of everybody that they don't get it.
This is where an intelligent tutoring system, which is basically just a smart program that adapts to a student's own pace, is an absolute game changer. It creates a private, totally non-judgmental space to learn. A student can get a problem wrong 10 times, get a new hint each time, and nobody else in the room has to know. It makes it safe to fail, which, as we all know, is the fastest way to learn.
And our final tool uses this brilliant little reversal of roles. Instead of the AI teaching the student gets a new challenge: teach the AI. And that simple mindset shift, it's everything. It's an irresistible challenge. I mean, think about what it takes to successfully teach a concept to a generic chatbot. You have to be incredibly clear. You have to be explicit. You have to be thorough. You can't skip any steps. This task forces students to organize their thoughts and explain what they know at a much higher level than just answering a test question.
So when you put all of this together, you see this really profound shift in what a teacher gets to be. By letting AI handle the more mechanical tasks, the differentiation, the instant feedback, the corrections, the teacher is finally free to do the deeply human work, mentoring, inspiring, and actually connecting with their students.
You see, this whole strategy isn't really about the AI in the end. It's about using the AI to rebuild a student's entire relationship with learning. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. When a student goes from feeling frustrated and lost to feeling capable and engaged, how might that change not just their grades, but how they see themselves as a learner for the rest of their life?